Aski here for NerfedTV, welcoming you back to Hearthstone as we continue our arena run. We're currently 1 for 1 with our Priest. The deck's an interesting one, it's playing out quite weirdly. We've not really had any early game in the last two matches, we've not really been able to do anything before turn 4 or 5. We do have a card we can play there on two cards we can play on turn 1. I don't think we need the Holy Smite, but we'll chuck those two later game cards. We'll keep that removal and we can play that Mind Vision on our first turn. Direwolf Alpha as well, so we do have some early game options in this match, and that should give us a bit of an advantage as we play through. We know we're very strong around that mid to late game, so we'll see how it plays out. He's got nothing for his first turn by the look of it. Questing Adventurer, so we've got another early card as well. We're just going to Mind Vision, see what we draw. Master Swordsmith, it could have been a better draw. It's not a terrible card. Basically, it's a 1/3, and at the end of your turn, it will buff another minion up by their attack by +1. I have had some really great plays with it before. I've had it last throughout the game, and it just kept buffing everything up loads and loads and loads, and been really effective and helpful. We'll see how it plays out. So he's played his own Swordsmith. We could Direwolf Alpha, not really that great by itself, so I think we just play our Swordsmith. We could potentially coin out the Questing Adventurer. It's an option, but then that's only going to trigger from playing more cards. It'd be nicer to be able to just Questing Adventurer and then coin Holy Smite or something like that next turn. We'll see how it plays out. So all fairly even as it stands at the moment. What's he going to play out? So we've got a 1/4 taunt. Fairly easy to deal with. I mean, it's not going to do a massive amount of damage. Of course, it buffs up to a 2/4, so now that's a lot more threatening. So our options, we can coin out the Lightbringer. That will give us a 5/5 on the field, but as soon as he hits it, it's going to drop down quite quickly. It would trade comfortably for either of his creatures, both his creatures in fact, even if he attacked it. But if he's got some sort of removal in his hand, he can clear that off the board. And I don't really want to play out too early. We can Pint-Sized Summoner, attack, or Direwolf. If we Direwolf Alpha, we'll buff up our Swordsmith. We can then hit the taunt with that and then finish it off with Holy Smite. That's 3 mana. I think that's probably our best play here. So we Direwolf Alpha, buff him up to 2, hit him, Holy Smite, clears the taunt off the board. So we've traded 1 card to get rid of his taunt. So it's fairly reasonable. We've got some. Point of that card is some early game removal, and our minion's now going to buff up that. So we've got some fairly good value out of our Swordsmith already. We've got that secure buff on our Direwolf. We've also traded out for a card, and it's still on the field. So we'll see what he does. If he now attacks into us, he can kill us, of course, with his Swordsmith, but he would only be on 1 HP at the end of it, so it's quite easy to deal with him if you want to. Yeah, he's going to trade out. Probably the best move, get us off the field. We didn't get the greatest value out of that card. If we would have been able to keep him on the field for another turn, it would have been great. And Humility there on our Direwolf, that's a problem. He's going to be buffing up that Raging Worgen quite a lot, so we need to get that card off the field as quick as possible. How are we going to do it? We could potentially Questing Adventurer, coin Pint-Sized Summoner. So we're going to have a fairly strong Questing Adventurer in that situation. We can Lightbringer. Not the most powerful play in the world. And Questing Adventurer.
Give me a quest.
Coin out the Pint-Sized Summoner. Get a target-rich environment. I should have played that on the other side of the Direwolf. That was a mistake. Should have played that on the other side of the Direwolf, and then he would have got the buff as well. That's just bad ball positioning on my part there. We'll clear that off so he doesn't get another buff after his next turn. Now, how's he going to trigger this? The Raging Worgen is a very interesting card. He can basically attack into something, and then the effects of his Enrage trigger. And one of those effects is Wind Fury, as you're going to see. It kicks in there. Now he's got Wind Fury, and he can kill something else using that card. So it trades really, really well. He's able to now trade it out for 2 cards, or deal 5 damage to me. His best bet will be to get that Questing Adventurer off the field. Otherwise, I'm going to be able to do some. Yeah, he's going to go for that. That's definitely the best move. If he'd left that on the field, there's potential that I could have played a few cards next turn. He doesn't know what I've got in my hand, and I could have buffed that out quite drastically. So he's played that very well. He traded that Raging Worgen for 2 cards. He did use Humility, of course, to debuff our Direwolf Alpha. So he has put a few cards into that. We have basically even on cards. he's got a very slight health advantage. Board control, he's got the taunt out, so he's in a slightly better position, although we do have our pint-sized summoner, so we can get some cards out a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, the maths isn't really working out all that great at the moment for us. So Temple Enforcer and Lightspawn would be a great play to buff up a Lightspawn, but it's not going to help too much. Pulled a couple cards from him there. So we've got Lay on Hands or Hammer of Wrath. Hammer of Wrath is going to give us some fairly good removal. Lay on Hands is good. I mean, it's a really, really powerful heal. There's nothing we can really do this turn, though. That turn did not go well. I mean, it would have been nice to be able to actually make some sort of play. We haven't really done anything. We've got a couple cards. So we've got Lay on Hands, restores 8 health and draws 3 cards. And deal 3 damage and draw a card there with the Hammer of Wrath. So we've got some removal. So we can get rid of either of those cards he's played. Buffing that up to a 6/6. That is definitely going to be difficult to deal with. Now, how do we deal with this lot? Right, so the first creature we're going to summon, we could either do a Lightspawn. We get the Lightspawn out, we still have 3 mana left. There's no way we can really spend that 3 mana effectively, though. We could Mass Dispel, silence all the creatures on the field, and then we could just trade our pint-sized summoner out for something else. Possibility. We could Power Word Shield Summoner and then it lives. That's another option. Silverhand Knight, that would have been useful. So if we Power Word Shield, we get a bit of HP more. Can we then? We could trade it out for the Raptor. The best way to get the most damage off the field, I think. Or we can heal ourselves up, take the damage. I mean, we can trade out automatically without buffing up. If we buff it up, it will live into the next turn. You also get a card draw, so we've got Spellbreaker. That could be useful in the future. I mean, if we can eliminate the threats he's got on the board at the moment, we'll be in a really good position because he's already used up a lot of cards. And his last couple of turns, you see he's only got 1 card left, whereas we've got 6 in our hand at the moment. Let's see what he can do. Definitely the best play. You get some card draw there. Actually, no, he doesn't. He only if another minion dies, of course. Yeah, it's only with other minions, not actually the minion itself, so he doesn't get the card draw there. Does play a Boulder Fist Ogre, though. That is a pretty massive threat. We need to get that off the board. And there's the perfect card to clear it away. Absolutely fantastic bit of top deck in there. So we can eradicate that instantly. Now, Lightspawn, Hammer of Wrath, Spellbreaker. Spellbreaker's a waste. It's got to be Lightspawn, I think. The Hammer of Wrath is not powerful enough to kill the Fen Creeper. We do get a card draw out of it though, which is tempting. Get some more options in our hand. We have already got a card advantage on him though, so we don't need it too badly. I think if we play out the Lightspawn, he would have to... He wouldn't have to kill his Fen Creeper to kill it, but I don't think... No, he wouldn't be able to kill it completely. Take it down to 4/4. Yeah, he wouldn't be able to kill it completely with both those minions. His Fen Creeper would survive attacking into it though. So we'll see what happens. Plays a Secret. Got to be careful with that and how we're going to attack into him now. So he doesn't go for our minion at all, and that is a mistake. What we could really do with now is being able to double his health. We lay on hands. Unfortunately, we can't just heal him above his normal HP, otherwise that would be some serious damage we could do there. Could Temple Enforcer, buff it up. That's going to make it an 8/8. Not a terrible idea. Although we don't know what he's played as his secret, that might eradicate the Temple Enforcer. Let's see what happens. We buff that up to an 8/8. Didn't trigger. Clear his board. Play it safe. Don't go straight for him. Try and get the most value out of our cards. Do we heal him? Almost at that point. We'll go for him. 7/7 damage on the board. A big threat out there, and a 6/6. He's got some serious problems. We've also got a Taunt we can play out next time. We've got Silence we can play out next time. We've got some direct removal and a big heal. He's got nothing by the look of it.
Reporting for duty.
He overextended himself very early on, making those big plays in the early game, and we dealt with them effectively. And now we can really push home this victory. Depending on what that secret is going to be important. So we attack with a lower HP, lower damage creature first, just in case. Eye for an eye, we take 6 damage. Yeah, definitely the best play to go with the lower damage one first in that case. We can heal ourselves up massively, draw 3 cards. Not a terrible idea. He has got a pretty strong health advantage on us. We've got much better board control, but we'll see what happens. Voodoo Doctor, Holy Nova, Light Spawn. So we Voodoo Doctor. We could buff up the Light Spawn. He's only missing 1 HP. Or we could heal ourselves for 2. It's probably better value to heal ourselves to get the full amount out of it. Hit him for another 7 damage. Don't worry about the 1/1s on the board. You can trade them out for our Voodoo Doctor, but I'm not too worried about that. I prefer him hitting the Voodoo Doctor than hitting the Light Spawn and reducing our damage there. I want to keep that Light Spawn nice and strong because I'm really hoping to draw something to double his HP and deal some massive damage with that.
Reporting for duty.
He's really got nothing to play at the moment. Direwolf Alpha, okay. Nothing we can't deal with. I mean, like I just showed, we've got the Holy Nova in our hand. We can blow apart most of his board in our next turn. I don't think he'll have any comeback from that. So yeah, he trades it out as we would expect. Anything else? 1 mana left. There's nothing he can really do. He can attack us for 2 damage. There we go. So I think Holy Nova is the play. Unless we can kill him directly. If we buff up, we'll be able to do 8. If we use the Stormwind Champion, we've got what? 7 plus 8. 15 damage on the board. Not enough to kill him. Hammer of Wrath doesn't make it possible because we can't use both. So it's Holy Nova. Clear his board nearly completely. Need 2 damage. Get Hammer of Wrath just to get rid of it. Keep both our minions alive. I think that's the best play. We can Silver Hand. Tempted to get Taunt out. Our options, it's useful to have a Taunt out in the field. We could just leave his minion alive that way. Let's go with that play, I reckon. Hit him hard. Leave that minion in the field. They have to play something else to buff it up enough to kill our Taunt Shield. He reinforces. He's got nothing, I don't think. Avenging Wrath did 8 damage split randomly among enemy characters. So this is going to drop our damage out quite a bit. Didn't land where he wanted it to though. Didn't manage to completely kill anything, so we still got some pretty strong damage on the field. We only lost 1 damage off of our Light Spawn, which is a massive bonus, and he concedes. So yeah, there we go. Very good, solid first game. We had the early game. He had a better early game, but as we managed to break it quite effectively, he just then crumbled from then on, and it was just slowly a matter of whittling him down. Let's see what happens in our next match. So let's see who our new challenger is going to be. Another druid. So we've had 2 druids and 2 paladins so far. We've got the Tauren warrior, so we've got a little bit of early game. We're going first though. We can chuck those 2, see what we get. Hope for a little bit more early game. A 7 and 3. There we go. Questing Adventurer and a Tauren warrior. Not too bad at all. Stormwind Champion a little bit later on is always a massive boon, especially in a priest deck. When you've got quite a lot of buffs around already, it makes them all quite strong. So Tauren Warrior or the Questing Adventurer for turn 3. Not sure exactly which one to play yet. We'll have to see what he does. We've got the Shield Master as well for turn 4. So we could quite happily go Questing Adventurer if we think it's going to be able to survive, and then Shield Master on the turn after that. Power Word Shield. There's no play we can make here at all, which is a shame. You have to ebb past the turn. Take that 1 damage and leave that Divine Shield on that creature. Gets out a 3/2 Panther. It looks like we're going to take another round of damage as well. I mean, we can play out our Taunt. I think that's probably the best option. If we play out the Taunt, he'd have to drop his Panther into it. I think that's the only way we can really go. He'll hit it with the Panther and we'll take 1 damage, but we're avoiding taking 4 damage on turn 3, and that's way too much to be taking this early on. Especially when we've got no board presence to counter him back on the next turn either. Could really start to escalate, so we need to get that Taunt out. There it goes, as expected. I'll trade directly for that. Hit us again for 1 damage. See what he's got in his hand to play as well. He's got 3 mana to spend. Some direct damage by the look of it.
Locked and loaded.
Ironforged Rifleman, so he hits us for 1. Looks like he's got a fairly early game deck. A lot of early game cards being played. So it's just a matter of us surviving long enough. So I think we have to play a Taunt yet again. Luckily this one will not trade directly. If he starts attacking into us, we'll be able to kill both of those minions with this one before we've even down to killing this card. So it's definitely a very effective play.
Shields up.
You can pull that, makes them both into taunts. Unless he just passes the turn, I suppose his best option here is probably just going to be to pass the turn directly and leave that as it is. Wild Growths, which I think so. He's playing a slightly longer game now. Yeah, that's as expected. So 5 mana to spend. We can Silverhand Knight, get out a couple more minions on the field to match him. We'll be at a stronger board advantage if we did that. We could Power Word Shield on our own character, buff him up. Questing Adventurer, Power Word Shield, Voodoo Doctor, buff that Questing Adventurer right up. That's a fairly reasonable play. Changes that to a 3/3. Oh, and we get Holy Smite on the draw. Ah, interesting. So now trade that out for that. I don't want to waste the Holy Smite too. Maybe I should. Maybe I should use the Holy Smite then to kill that. It wouldn't have made any difference though, because I still can't get through to the Sun Fury Protector. Yeah, no, I don't think that made any real difference at all. It's better to hold that Smite back. I could have used the Smite to kill his left-hand side taunt he had a moment ago, and then we would have just been using our own taunt just to hit his Divine Shielded minion, so it wouldn't really have been that effective. I think it's better just to leave him in this situation. We've got some strong cards out in the field now. We've got potential to buff that Questing Adventure up quite effectively next turn. So 6. In theory, next turn we could Silverhand Knight and Holy Smite if we wanted to. Starfire, ouch, that definitely hurt. Hits it with the Protector. So use some pretty big removal there to get rid of our only a 4-cost shield. We did buff it up though, so I suppose it is kind of worth it for him. So we've got a 4/4, he's got a minion on the field, that's a problem. We can Holy Smite to get rid of it, so I think Silverhand Knight, Holy Smite is probably the best play. Pint-sized Summoner is nice to have out, but we're going to be able to get that Stormwind Champion out next turn anyway. We don't need the reduced mana cost on our minions to do that.
Ready, sir.
So we clear his board. Yeah, a bit of a card advantage to us now, but we've got a lot of board control. Unfortunately, we don't have any taunts out at the moment. I don't think we even have many more taunts left in the deck, which could become a problem. So we've got 12 damage on the field. He plays out another taunt. He's definitely got a lot of his control cards that are really able to dominate the match quite effectively just by themselves. Next time we can't mind control that, unfortunately. We could leave it alive, but then we're pretty much wasting a turn. We Stormwind Champion. It's going to trade out for any of our cards except the Questing Adventurer. I don't really want to deal that much damage to the Questing Adventurer just to ping off his shield, which is a problem. We could Stormwind Knight and then trade both of our Knight and our Squire to get through it. We've got the Knife Juggler as well now though. We could Knife Juggler, Pint-sized Summoner, procs the shield. So it gets rid of that. It's not very mana efficient, but it's a fairly reasonable way to get rid of the shield. We still can't... Yeah, we still can't actually kill him directly though, even if we do that. Without just ploughing into him with our Questing Adventurer. Difficult decision. So what we could do is we could Knife Juggler, Pint-sized Summoner, that would get rid of the Divine Shield, then hit him with our Questing Adventurer, which kills the taunt, and then hit him for 6 damage. But the problem there is it puts our Questing Adventurer in a bad position. So we're going to Stormwind Knight, buff everything up a lot, sack the 2 minions directly into him, keep this very strong Questing Adventurer out on the field. He's threatening him. Managed to keep the Knight out because of course we buffed up the Knight as well using the Stormwind Champion, so he's going to live another turn. So we're going to keep 3 very powerful cards out in the field. I think that was the best play. The Knife Juggler Pint-sized Summoner is quite nice because that would have got rid of the shield effectively, but we couldn't then have played the Stormwind Champion and had our cards survive anyway. We still would have had to hit him with the Questing Adventurer to get that damage out, and I want to get that Questing Adventurer very buffed up. 4/4 buffs it up to a 6/6. No, don't go straight for us. That is not a good move at all. We're gonna go and attack our 5 damage minion with that. I'm not sure if that's a good move either, especially on that low HP. If you're a warrior, it's a different situation. You want to be burning your HP, but as a druid, not quite so important. We can now mind control that, steal that across to ourselves. We're now at 9-9 and 6-6, and we take the damage, take the victory, killing him with his very own taunt creature. Very, very good game. This deck's really working out very effectively. I think that's putting us on 3-1. Are we now? Yeah, 3 victories, 1 loss. It's a pretty interesting mana curve on this deck as well. Look, it's very balanced. It doesn't really go up. Most mana curves sort of peak around the 3-4 point and then drop back down quite quickly. But as you can see, this deck's got a lot of late game play. That mid to late game is where it really starts to get strong. It's just surviving long enough. I'm waiting for that game where we run into a rush down rogue deck or something like that, and that's where we're going to hit some real problems and be in some real trouble. Who are we up against? Another priest, so we've got a mirror game. Interesting. So let's see how our deck matches up against his. So Power Word Shield, Temple Enforcer, Questing Adventurer. I think we just chuck the Temple Enforcer, keep the others in hand. Silverhand Knight, not great, but it's a very good card. 10-5, that'd be very useful, I'm sure. Divine Spirit, now that is useful. If we can get a Lightbringer on fairly soon, that'll be very effective. Now, priest, you've got to watch out for 4 attack is the magic number when it comes to fighting a priest. They've got removal for anything under 3 damage or less, or 5 damage or more. So if you've got any creatures with 4 attack, so useful. Unfortunately, we couldn't do anything on that first turn at all, which is a big shame. It seems he's already got a creature on the field. But yeah, it's really important to that 4 damage point is so important when you're fighting against a priest. 2 minions out in the field. He's got a very early game deck, and this is what I've been worried about running into. So we need to get something out in the field. We can Questing Adventurer. We can Direwolf Alpha and buff it up. Questing Adventurer trades alright for his taunt, but he'll just kill it simply by using his Divine Shield off of his other character. It's a tough decision. I don't. Questing Adventurer did so well for us last game, but we need to get something out of the field and stop ourselves from taking too much damage this early on. Can he go straight for us again? Oh no, he doesn't. So he sacks his taunt into that. I think that was probably a mistake, unless he's got some sort of follow-up where he's able to just ping us for 1 damage. No, he doesn't. I think that was probably a bit of a mistake. I wouldn't have gone for that myself. So we can Power Word Shield and Direwolf Alpha. We're still only going to get rid of his shield though, and even in that situation we still die. We go straight for him. It's a tough decision. The Divine Shield makes it more complicated. If the Divine Shield wasn't there, it would be simply a matter of trade out the creature. It's not a big deal. Quite happy to trade that. But with that shield, it means he's going to still have that 3 damage on the field next turn, and that is a problem. So now we can buff us up quite a lot. We've got the Voodoo Doctor, so we've got some fairly good damage if we go straight for him. I think this is the play. So we buff that up. 4-6. We can now Direwolf Alpha as well. So that's going to turn it into 6-7, I believe. Or double a minion's health. That's almost tempting. A 4-12 this early, and it's in the right damage, but its health, its damage would have gone up. So that's what I said about a moment ago when I said about that critical point between the getting that 4 damage. If we'd be able to keep that at 4 damage, that would have been great, because we could have played that up. It would be very difficult for a priest to remove that with that much HP and staying in that 4 damage, but because it's a Questing Adventurer, every time we play a card it's going to go up in HP, so, go up in damage, sorry, so it would eventually just get to a point where it's useless, and it would easily be killed by him as soon as he draws into one of those cards, which you've got to assume they're going to draw. So Light Spawn, Divine Shield, Divine Spirit next turn, fairly good play, get some serious damage out of that. First things first, let's clear the board, get that off of the field. Silverhand Knight, it's more mana efficient, we've got 2 in our hand. I think we'll get that board dominance back. We've got some pretty good damage straight at him. I think that was the play. Now, I am slightly worried that he's going to get rid of our Questing Adventurer this turn. If he does do that, Then we're gonna, there we go. So he hits us pretty hard, and yeah, he's gonna be able to trade out for that without even killing his own creature. So in a way, I'm almost happy I didn't play the Lightspawn then, because its damage would have been drastically reduced. We've got the Shadow Word Death in our hand now as well, so that's the card I was talking about earlier, so that's great for removing anything with over 5 damage. We could play out another Silverhand Knight, gets even more minions on the field again. Lightspawn and heal, not a terrible idea. We could Lightspawn and then heal up our creature, and then we could trade out quite comfortably. As I said, it is in that 4 damage magic area. I think that's the play. So we clear his board, we keep 2 creatures on the field. So it's one of those sort of grey areas as to whether to try and rush down your opponent. Generally, if you're just playing arena, rushing down your opponent is a terrible idea. It's very rarely ever going to work out, and then we go with the silence. But yeah, it's very rarely going to work out because you don't have that quite as much synergy as you do in just the constructed mode. If you've built a deck and you've set that deck up perfectly to do XYZ, it's a very different situation to when you're having to pick cards on the fly, and generally you're not going to have that synergy that allows you to really rush down your enemy super fast. So that card he's played up there, the Northshire Cleric, will give him a lot of card draw if we don't get rid of it soon. We can Holy Fire, but that seems like a massive use of a card to get rid of something that's only a 1 cost. Oh god, I don't feel right doing that, but I don't want him to get the card draw out of it. That's the situation. Basically, we need to kill stuff outright and not leave stuff with a certain amount of HP. It won't trigger if he's healing himself, it'll only trigger if he's healing minions. So long as we don't leave him with anything just damaged, it's either dead or it's fully alive, we'll be okay. So yeah, we'll kill that. We're at 29 HP, massive HP advantage. We can take that off the board if we want. It isn't that certain point where we can't Shadow Word Death it. But I think it's a better play. I don't know. Clear the board or deal 4 damage to him. Let's clear it. Play it safe again. That Lightspawn's near enough useless now it's been silenced.
The
Let's see what he plays out. Lord of the Arena.
Someone call
Voodoo Doctor for the heal. And that's probably it. Yeah, that's it. Temple Enforcer. So we could Temple Enforcer and that will buff him back up, and he's going to have... No, it won't make any effect, I don't think. Or will it? I think it does because he's silenced. So that was Shadow Word Death, by the way. We just played it there, just talking right through it. Got rid of that taunt nice and quickly. Play those minions up. So we could Temple Enforcer on our Lightspawn. I think that will make it a 3/5. Because it's been silenced, it no longer has the issue where its damage can't be buffed above its HP. So that should be quite useful. He's got some early game cards coming out now. He Temple Enforces himself, making that a much more difficult card to take on. And gets a good trade out of that. Mass Dispel. Definitely tempting, and then makes that Raptor a lot easier to deal with. Mass Dispel. Shield Master. We also get some card draw. Is it really worth it? It's got 3 HP. Yeah. There we go with the Mind Control. So that can definitely be useful if you play something big soon. We can double the HP of our Silverhand Knight, buffing up to a 4/8. That could be quite useful. Or we can just play our taunt out. I think we play the taunts. Clear that off the board. Still got a 6/6 on the field. But he's got to go through our taunt to get to us. And we have got a bit of a health advantage at the moment. We've also got that Mind Control in hand. Twilight Drake. I'm going to smash that into that. Oh wow, if he keeps buffing that up, I'm so stealing that. Power Word Shield of our own. So, what is the play? We can Mind Control and then Divine Spirit, perhaps. We could do that on the Twilight Drake, then we've got 4/12. Very difficult to deal with. We can Temple Enforcer on our own minions. That's not going to be too effective. It does get us a 6/6 out in the field though. We've also got the Power Word Shield for the next turn, or we could Mind Control and Power Word Shield this turn, depending on how much we want to commit.
I must consider.
Yeah, so we Mind Control, bring that over,
Quickly.
double its health, Power Word Shield. Let's double it. Let's make it 6/10.
To battle!
Hit him for 4. See what he does. So he wouldn't have seen that coming. We've got 10 damage on the field. He's got 4. He can kill. Yeah, he can kill our Silverhand Knight and survive quite comfortably. And our silence. So there goes our buffs on the Temple Enforcer. Frostwolf Warlord. Not too great. We've only got 1 minion on the field anyway. That was probably a misplay. Should really have gone for our Silverhand Knight, and then he would have taken damage completely off the field unless he's got some sort of follow-up I don't know about yet. At the moment we've still got 10 damage in hand. We get Tauren Warrior as well, so we've got some taunts. So, decisions. Temple Enforcer. Heal up the Temple Enforcer. Well, buff it up, but effectively it's a heal. Tauren Warrior. I think rather than the Knife Juggler. Tauren Warrior, get the taunt up. Now he's got a lot to deal with.
I don't have enough mana.
Oh, it'd be nice if we could have healed. Hit him for... Who do we hit? Let's go. Let's go straight for him.
To battle!
Or we can damage that and then he's going to have to... If we damage that, he's going to have a lot tougher time getting the value out of that card that he wants to get. We've still got enough damage on the field to kill him next turn. Shadow Word Death. There's that. Now we do no longer have enough damage, although we can Knife Juggler. Oh, he's playing a lot of cards out. Here we go. So this is sort of his last big hurrah. He's played his entire hand. Nothing's too big of a threat. We can deal with all of this fairly easily. So we Knife Juggler. You've got to do this in order. So we want to use that to kill the taunt, because we don't want to hit the taunt with a dagger. So that's that gone. Now, no matter what we hit with the dagger, it's value unless we hit him. Brilliant, fantastic. Heal that to 6/6. Nothing else we can do this turn. Pass it over, unless he's got something pretty special. We've got him next turn. Fort Steel, copy 2 cards from your opponent's deck. Are either of them going to help you?
Your magic shall
Spellbreaker. Huh. Look at the useless minion down the field we've got at the moment. We've got 9 damage, he's got 13 health. Damn, every time. Right. A Spellbreaker of our own. Yeah, that's kind of. I didn't really bother here. I mean, it didn't make much difference, but yeah, I could have. I was debating whether to trade him out for the Ardent Squire. Let's keep that Spellbreaker in hand. That might be a mistake. I'm going to keep it in hand, so we've got some sort of play in case he plays a taunt or something like that. At least that way we can just get rid of it straight away. Played out a Mana Addict. That's probably worth getting rid of. And Dark Iron Dwarfs to buff that up. At 9 health, we've got 6 damage on the board. Come on, we need a big buff. Tauren Warrior, that's not the buff we want. Let's silence that Mana Addict. We don't want to get him any big plays this late in the game. Get the Tauren Warrior out. So we got some taunt. Got him threatened. I don't know. Do I go for him or do I just clear the board? Let's hit him. Let's hit him. It's a gamble. It's a gamble. I've got a lot of minions on the field. I do have a taunt up. He's going to struggle to get through that. I've got a lot more HP than him. We're both top decking though. In this kind of situation, it starts to make me feel very nervous if I don't have complete control. We've got more than enough damage to kill him next turn. Still got plenty. There's no way you can heal himself out of the damage unless you can clear off both those. Well played.
Well played.
I mean, we got him. We got him. So that game went on a long time. It gets difficult when it's like that. When you're top decking, it starts to get very nervous. You don't know what your opponent's going to draw. You don't know what you're going to draw into, and it's very hard to think ahead. You can't think moves ahead very easily. And it starts to get a little bit more complicated and challenging. Anyway, that is the end for the time being. We're 4-1 in this arena run, so it's going pretty well. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to leave us some feedback below, and thank you for watching.